Hi. Okay, I'm back for part 2 of our live chat about PCOS. I had to end the first one, and now we're doing this in parts because my internet got bad and everybody lost the connection, and it sucked. So we're going to go, and if we lose connection, I'll come back for part 3. So let's start with resources that have been helpful and the PCOS community and how I feel I fit in there. So the resource that has been most helpful for me actually is Julie Duffy Dillon, who I mentioned before. She's the one who did the podcast. She has been really instrumental in helping me to both understand, hey, Ashley, I'm glad you're back, to both understand what on a scientific level is happening when you have PCOS, and then how to implement certain changes in the frequency, quantity, way that I eat, and the way that I live my life to help me in tandem with my medication, try to control PCOS and keep things going good and not get things out of whack. And right now, stuff is, for me personally, right now, stuff is out of whack. And so I'm really dealing with symptoms that I haven't been dealing with for a while, and it kind of sucks. I mean, it not kind of sucks, it sucks. And so hopefully that will be fixed soon. I'm having issues with my gynecologist. Okay, so that's really the biggest resource is this course that she created. It's like a 12-module course, and it goes through everything on an emotional level. So I could have done the first 2 modules, and it would have paid for itself right there, because I found, luckily I found her course really soon after I got diagnosed. I was in a really bad place because I have a lot of I have food issues to start with. So I have binge eating disorder. And I also have some allergies to food, and I have IBS as a chronic illness that certain foods will trigger that more. And so food allergy, eating disorder, trigger foods for IBS, and now PCOS on top of it. And when I first started exploring the internet, looking for information on PCOS, all I found was you need to lose weight. You need to stop eating carbs. That's the pervasive messaging with PCOS. And I was flipping out because carbs are more likely than not a safe food for me with my PCOS. If you take out a lot of the carbs that I eat, I'm a little screwed, because a lot of other things can be triggers. And my trigger foods for IBS change all the time. But what remains constant is that rice, potatoes, pasta, bread is usually going to be okay in my stomach. So if I am not really eating a lot of those, then it makes it very hard. And then on top of things, at the time, I was a strict vegetarian, not a vegan, but a vegetarian. I've been vegetarian or vegan since I was in 6th grade. Sorry. And it was really, I was freaking out. I didn't know what to eat, and I was afraid to eat the wrong thing, and I was just not eating. I literally just was not eating anything, and I was hungry, and I was upset, and I was cranky. It was terrible. And then I found her course, and I was like, oh my God, thank you. Anyway, so I was having lots of feelings about, I was telling you what the course covers. Sorry, I'm all over the place. It starts from mental, and just really repeating to you and helping you to understand the science behind why having PCOS is not your fault. You didn't cause PCOS to happen in your body. And the big one for me, and I think for a lot of people, is that you did not cause PCOS by being fat. Just let that sink in, because there's such a culture of blaming fat people for health issues. There is science behind, and you can learn it. Take our course. You can learn all about it. You did not cause PCOS by being fat. PCOS is genetic. That's crazy. I had no idea. PCOS is genetic. You didn't cause it by being fat. There are thin people with PCOS. What? Like, I have no idea. So that course and Julie has really been my biggest resource. And that's the segue into the PCOS community online, because a lot of places online that are like, PCOS Facebook group, PCOS message board, whatever. I don't feel comfortable in those groups. I don't feel comfortable in those spaces because the messaging is weight loss, weight loss, weight loss. It's very negative. And like, here's the thing. It sucks. Would I rather have PCOS or would I rather not? Obviously, I would rather not have PCOS. Hashtag PCOS sucks. I get it. However, for me, I cannot be in a community where it's just like negative about PCOS or anything, about any health issue or any topic. I personally cannot thrive when I'm having all this negativity around me. Do I think that people should have a safe place to vent and talk about what's going on with their bodies? Yes. What I find in those communities, it just snowballs, and then everyone's like super negative, and I can't do it. Really negative. Always, everyone is super focused on weight loss, super focused on dieting and restricting food, especially carbohydrates. And people are really body negative about the hair issue. And I said I was going to come back to this. So, okay, I'm making it down my list. So the hair issue. So in case you haven't watched part 1, or in case you don't know, one of the symptoms of PCOS for some people can be excessive, unwanted hair on their face. So, a beard or a mustache or more hair on your arms. Usually it's the facial hair that people, that women get really upset about. And here's the thing. I get it. I understand. If you have grown up as a woman, you have been taught this is what a woman looks like. This is what a man looks like. A man has facial hair. A woman doesn't. If a woman has facial hair, she better bleach it or pluck it or shave it or electrolysis it or whatever. She's got to get rid of it so that she can be beautiful and fuckable, and everything, the beauty standards and the culture can all stay in balance. And when you get people coming in that say, why should I remove it? Like, this is what my body looks like, whatever. It really throws people off. Now, let me just preface all of this with, if you have, PCOS has given you a lot of facial hair and you want to remove it, I am fine with that. That's cool. I don't care what you do with your body. It's your body. Body autonomy. That's fine. Do what you want to do. However, the culture of always talking negative about the facial hair, always, just like not allowing any room for people who maybe don't want to go that route of removing it or don't want to feel negative and shitty about this part of their body, and the fact that their body is growing this hair. That's what I've experienced, is that negativity towards anyone who like kind of dares to not fall into the, oh, I hate it, I've got to remove it, it's disgusting. Which I'm not saying everyone is like talking like that all the time. I'm just saying it can feel like that. And then there are the women who kind of dare to grow their facial hair out, and they get attacked by the PCOS community for giving them a bad name, for drawing, unwelcome attention, for, for not representing well, whatever, which fat people get all the time. I get told by people all the time, not like I'm, I don't know, Jess Baker or something, but I have been told multiple times that I don't represent for the fat community well because I don't wear shapewear. I don't, wear push-up bras. I don't, do a whole thing, and I don't get all dressed up and do my hair and wear makeup all the time. Sorry, my throat is scratchy. So I get kind of shit on for that. Like, I'm not representing for fat people. And then I hear about women who let their facial hair grow in, and they get shit on for not representing for the PCOS community, or, you know, getting the face forward that people want. And I happen to know both famous and well, I don't really know famous, whatever. I kind of know. I follow and have interacted briefly with people who get attention. And then I know personally regular old women who grow their facial hair in, and I've heard experiences from both. And it just makes me sad that the PCOS community can't just embrace anyone who's living their life however they want to live it with PCOS. Because, like, isn't it hard enough that we have PCOS? Like, why do we have to make this shit harder for each other? Oh, we have some comments. I have the hair problem. PCOS sucks. You have the facial hair. So, Leah, you remove it. You don't feel like you can go out like that. And that's fine. Like, if you want to remove it, that's fine. I'm not saying that you shouldn't. My throat is not liking all this talking. And I don't have any cough drops. All right, we'll see how long this is going to last. Amanda, you too. Ashley says, the crazy thing about the culture, it says to speak negative about facial hair, yet encourages people to glue fake hair on their eyelashes to be more attractive. Leah, fuck shapewear. Hell yeah, don't say sorry for the F word. Melissa, you remove yours because it bothers you, but you say do what's right for you. Exactly. Everyone do what's right for them. And you know what? It's very easy for me, who does not have like all the hair growth, to say, you know, embrace it, whatever, because I don't deal with that issue. All right. So it's very easy for me to say that. And I'm not saying that that everyone should grow it out and we should be like, you know, bearded lady revolution, although that would be pretty cool. I'm just saying, let people do their own thing and not give them shit about it. And wouldn't it be cool if we lived in a world where if you have that going on and you start growing a lot of facial hair when before you didn't, you felt like you could just let it grow and then nobody was going to mess with you about it or make fun of you, and the culture wasn't going to tell you that now you're like disgusting and gross or whatever. I would like to live in that kind of world. If you want to know more about the perspective of people who, women who do have the facial hair, yeah, Melissa, that would be really cool. I really recommend Little Bear. I'm writing it down, so I'll put it in the link. And I talked about her before. Little Bear is so cool. Little Bear, if you ever see this, I love you. And she talks about the hair issue a lot. She has a big, beautiful beard. And she talks about her beard as the crowning, what did she say? It was so beautiful. The crowning something of her femininity. I thought it was so cool. And there's a few different, like, kind of famous women who have grown out their beards and like are, you know, celebrating it. And I'll link to as many as I can. I'm just writing other bearded ladies. And then I drew a heart. Okay. Hi, Christina. Leah, gender identity issues. Took you a long time to accept being female. And then the hair brings up weird, painful feelings. Yeah. And that's a whole other layer on top to deal with. And that's where body autonomy really kicks in, because you should do whatever is right for you. Whatever is the most affirming for your body. And we should leave everyone else alone. So that's the hair issue. So then the next on my list was the people with PCOS. And I already talked about that in the first video. Okay. So then we get into, what do people with PCOS wish that other people knew? So this is how to be a good ally. This is what people with PCOS wish that you, the non-PCOSer, knew in order to help be supportive and loving to them. Ashley says, it's so interesting you and your husband debate this because he hates leg hair, and you're like, oh girl, I'm like his worst nightmare. I don't shave anything. Yeah. Your body, your choice, # deal with it. Yes. Yes, girl. I'm going to raise the roof. Okay. So anyone here who has PCOS, who is live with me now, and then anyone later, if you watch this and you want to comment, please do. If you have PCOS, what do you wish that your friends and family and other loved ones, your coworkers, whatever, knew about your life with PCOS that would make things better for you? Please comment if you want. So I'll start with, I personally wish that people knew how broad the symptoms are and how much it affects my life, especially like right now when stuff is not like buttoned down and under control. Because it's different when it is. I feel very different. I just wish that people understood that it's not just about, irregular periods and infertility, that it's about mental health. It's about debilitating pain. So people who do have, because not everyone does, people who do have cysts, if they pop, it's very painful. And then if you do get your period, it can be very extra painful. Anxiety and depression. I've really been having an issue with the trouble sleeping part. Since I've been out of whack, my sleep schedule has been so crazy, which then amplifies the fatigue that I'm already experiencing as a symptom. It makes it worse because I'm not sleeping well, I'm not sleeping enough, and the quality of sleep that I get is not great. And that sucks. So that's a really big one for me. Just that I wish that people were like, hey, she has a lot going on and it's because of this, and it's not because she's lazy or, moody or doesn't want to do anything or, whatever. I mean, I am an introvert. I do like to be at home. I am kind of lazy. And endometriosis. I don't know the answer to that question. Ashley asked, is there a connection between PCOS and endometriosis? I don't know the answer. I don't want to pretend like I do. It's likely. So I don't know the ins and outs of endometriosis. Maybe somebody watching this will know. That's a really good question, though. And I do know people in the 90s. Melissa, I'm not sure what your comment is referring to, if I'm not getting it. So great question, Ashley. I don't know. Maybe. But that is interesting. I know that there's a connection between PCOS and a lot of things that you wouldn't necessarily think of. Ovarian cancer. What else? So PCOS in some people can be part of something called metabolic syndrome, which is, yeah, Ashley, if you look it up and find out, let us know. And if anyone else knows, tell us. So metabolic syndrome, which is like a triad of high blood pressure, PCOS, and, oh God, what's the other one with metabolic syndrome? Y'all, I'm not a doctor. But that's something, it makes it easier to have high blood pressure and harder to get it down. So people look at, so I, whatever, I go to a doctor, or, because even doctors, like a GP, they don't necessarily know much about, PCOS, which is really, you should go to an endocrinologist. But doctors will just kind of act like they know stuff and then just make these decisions about who you are and what's going on. So if you look at me on paper, I'm a super fat woman. I weigh, I don't know, 350, 360 pounds. I have just recently developed high blood pressure because my PCOS is out of fucking whack. So I'm pretty sure that I have that I'm like coming into metabolic syndrome, and I can't remember what the third part of that is. So starting to have high blood pressure. You look at that on paper. I don't have diabetes, but there's some statistic, I don't know the percentage, but a lot of people with PCOS end up with type 2 diabetes. And on paper, somebody would look at this and say, oh, you're fat, and so all these things are happening. But really, if you look at the science behind it, you have PCOS. Oh, insulin resistance. That's what it is. Thank you, Kim. Really, you have PCOS. And that is like really pumping up all these other things. So it just goes back to that whole, like, being fat didn't cause your PCOS. Being fat didn't necessarily cause your high blood pressure or your insulin resistance or your diabetes or whatever. And I'm not saying that, like, being fat never causes any of these things, but I'm saying that when you're fat, everyone blames everything on being fat. And with PCOS, it has its little PCOS fingers in so many things, amplifying any issue that you might have, like any small issue then becomes bigger. I've never had high blood pressure in my life. Now that my PCOS is not doing well, I'm starting to have high blood pressure, right? And there's many causes of that. I'm not saying it's all from that. My throat is not having it. Okay. Oops, in the 90s, you were diagnosed with endometriosis, but you think it was PCOS. I've actually heard that before of somebody saying, I don't know if they were saying about endometriosis, but they were saying that they were misdiagnosed and really it was PCOS all along. Kim. Okay, so Kim, you have metabolic syndrome. I think that's where I'm landing. Leah says it's hard. When you were 13, you were 5'10", and weighed 130. Your period stopped for 6 months, gained 60 pounds. Doc says your period stopped because you're fat. And so a lot of people don't get diagnosed with PCOS for a long time because the doctors look at you and they say, oh, you're fat. That's why you're not getting your period. Lose some weight, your period will come back. And that happened to me when I was younger. It was in my teens. And I tried to lose weight, but it was really hard. So, I mean, I think that I've had PCOS like since I was a teenager. Okay. Anything else that people wish that their friends and loved ones knew about having PCOS? Oh, that's not my husband. That's Brenda. She's the housekeeper. Oh, yeah, because the door's open. There's a ghost. It's not a ghost. So let's see. Is there anything else that I wish people knew in order to support me? For me, it's mostly like kind of just the chronic illnessy side of things. Everybody's getting scared. And I just wish that people would be, and as with any chronic illness, I just wish that people would really be understanding that my symptoms change. And so my reasons for doing or not doing things might change, but they all relate back to my illness. You wish people that weren't close to you knew what you really eat. Yeah. So, and really what that comes down to is I wish that people wouldn't make assumptions about me, based on I'm fat or I'm this or I'm whatever. People just, assume that they know what I eat, that they know how much I exercise or move my body, that they assume if I'm happy in my body. People look at me and they assume that I eat garbage. And when I say garbage, I mean that in a very, what am I trying to say? I don't moralize food. So I don't think that junk food is necessarily garbage and that like steamed broccoli is necessarily, like clean, wonderful, pure food. Because for me, what is healthy for me changes all the time. And some days what people think is junk food is the healthiest thing for me to eat because it keeps me from just like having diarrhea for 24 hours, like TMI, sorry. But anyway, I wish that people would not make that assumption about all those things. Leah, I feel you on that. And if you are a person who, if you catch yourself making those assumptions about someone, like thinking, oh, Laura, she always talks about this. I wish she would just do the Whole30 and then she would be, she would feel better. I get that a lot. Like you should just, do clean eating, do keto, do Whole30. People all of a sudden become dietitians. They become nutritionists and they want to tell you what you should do, but they don't know the whole story. So yeah. Melissa, you wish your health wasn't the topic of conversation so much. You get that you have to live with it. Why does everyone want to know? Melissa, I agree. People are not entitled to know all your business. I don't talk about all this with, like, I talk about on the internet. I don't talk about this with people in my life all the time. And then I get random people that I don't know very well asking me very personal questions, and I am not going to answer that. Or I'll answer like with a really vague response. Leah. Leah says, lol, do keto. I would never be able to leave the toilet. And that's where, for me, like, a lot of PCOS stuff, like, people really recommend these diets and like whatever. There's these ways of eating that with my IBS would be really harmful to me. And so this is another one, like, leave your recommendations at home. If somebody wants advice or recommendations, they'll ask you for it. And it sucks when you have something like this and people know about it and people just feel free to give you their recommendations about food or exercise or doctors or treatments or, whatever. It's really tiring. And then it's a lot of emotional labor to respond in a kind way, because really their intention is good, but like it feels like shit to have that happen all the time. And then it's exhausting to have to like be nice to somebody and be polite and respond in a way that so that they feel good, and you didn't like ruin your friendship. Maybe that's just me. I want to go back to resources. I forgot I wanted to talk about Ovositol, and I'm going to do a full Ovositol review video. But I do want to mention it. If you have PCOS and you haven't tried it, I recommend just giving it a go. Ovositol comes in it comes in 90-day supplies. So you can buy it once and try it for 90 days and see how it works with your body, if it helps you. And many people, it helps. It helps me. I buy it every 90 days. And some people, it doesn't do anything for them, and that's cool. But I just want to throw it out. If you've never heard of it, if it's never been recommended to you, it's Ovositol. I'll putting it on the list. Ovositol. It is a mix of Myo D and Chiro inositols in the right ratio for the human body to use correctly. So you might see other brands of it, but they don't put it in the right ratio. So it has to be in a 40-to-1 ratio of Myo D and Chiro inositols. It does something similar to like what metformin does. And some people have used it and been able to get off of metformin and just take inositol. I actually take both. And it has really made a difference. So when I was just on metformin, it was fine. I take 1,000 milligrams of metformin every day, one in the morning and one in the evening, like with a meal. When I started taking Ovositol, the carb cravings that I have chilled the fuck out. It was amazing. And if that were the only like effect of Ovositol, it would be worth the money. Because one of the side effects of PCOS is having intense sugar or savory carb cravings. And so having those cravings really chill out has been a godsend for me, because they really triggered my eating disorder. So you can read the science behind it. I don't want to go into it because I don't know like all the ins and outs of it. What I know is I take Ovositol and it helps me. It's helped me with managing my moods, keeping a more even keel. It's helping my blood sugar. My blood sugar, when I got diagnosed, was like really spiky, and now it's more. And part of that is also I'm trying to remember to eat more regularly. But even when I was eating more regularly, it wasn't as good as it is with Ovositol. So whatever. I have no stake in this game. Order it, don't order it. It's up to you. I don't make any money off. I'm just telling you, it really works for me. And I'm so glad that I learned about it, because it's made a big, big difference for me. I'll put a link to where I get it in the description box. Okay. I think that's it. That's my list. I got through it. Does anyone have any last things that they want to share or ask or say or whatever before we end part 2? This has been so good. I've been wanting to make this video for a while and just talk about PCOS stuff. It's PCOS Awareness Month. It's crazy. So many people, 1 in 10 women have PCOS. PCOS is the biggest cause of infertility in this country. It's crazy. And you don't hear about it. PCOS is linked to so many things that people deal with all the time. It's crazy. So I really just wanted to talk about it. I'm so glad that there are people here who have PCOS that can share their experience. Everyone's experience is different. You know, nobody has the same PCOS experience. Hi, Christopher. So yeah, if you are watching this and you are an ally, somebody who does not have PCOS but wants to love and support the people in your life who do, thank you for watching this, for participating, for wanting to be a good ally for them. It's hard. It's hard to have PCOS. It sucks. It affects your life a lot. It feels like something that you can't talk about a lot. A lot of people have shame. And so having people who are, I'm like kind of tearing up, having people that are supportive, it like really makes a difference. Yeah. So I'm going to put this stuff in I'm also going to put Julie Duffy Dillon in the description box. You can check her out. She has a Facebook group that I really recommend. Yeah. And then if you want, you can take her course, but that costs money. Facebook group is free. It's a nice, safe place to be. Yeah. This has been so good. Thank you so much for being here. Leah, fat people know they're fat. Yeah, they do. Negativity isn't motivation. Oh, that's so good. That's a great one. Negativity is not motivation. I love it. That is a perfect way to end. Thank you so much for being here. I hope that this was helpful for everyone, for anyone who watched. If you are coming to part 2, but you didn't watch part 1, maybe go take a gander at that and see what we talked about in the beginning. And yeah, I think that's it. All right. Thanks, guys. I hope that you have a really great rest of your day. I really appreciate you being here. If you watch this later, not live, please comment. Please keep commenting about all the stuff that we're talking about. I will respond back, and I want to see, I want to hear your thoughts and experiences. Okay, bye.